405 One readily accessible location. The service disconnecting means shall be installed at a readily accessible location either outside of a building or structure or inside nearest the point of entrance of the service conductors. Exception 1. 1 and 2 family dwellings shall have the service disconnecting means located on the outside of building at the CPS Energy approved meter location, refer to section 700. Exception 2. Multifamily dwellings including apartments shall have the service disconnecting means located on the outside of building at the CPS Energy approved meter location, refer to section 800. Exception 3. Buildings or structures supplied by CPS Energy from an overhead or an overhead to underground service, shall have the service disconnecting means located on the outside of building or structure at the CPS Energy approved meter location, refer to section 500 and 600. Exception 4. Mobile homes and/or manufactured homes shall have the service disconnecting means located on a meter pole, overhead supply, or meter pedestal, underground supply, adjacent to the home and not mounted in or on the home, refer to section 1500. Exception 5. Temporary or portable type buildings or structures shall have the service disconnecting means located on a meter pole, overhead supply, or meter pedestal, underground supply, adjacent to and not mounted in or on the building or structure, refer to definition of portable and section 1400. 405 2 Height of operating handles. The grip center of the service disconnecting means operating handle shall not be more than 6 feet 7 inches above floor or working platform. 405 3 Remote control. Where a remote control device, is used to actuate the service disconnecting means, the service disconnecting means shall be required to be located in accordance with the provisions of the NEC and applicable codes including this section. 406 Maximum number of disconnects. The service disconnecting means for each service permitted by the NEC and in accordance with the limited special conditions outlined by CPS Energy in section 200, shall consist of not more than 6 switches or sets of circuit breakers, or a combination thereof mounted in a single enclosure, in a group of separate enclosures or in a switchboard. Exception. Disconnecting means installed as part of listed equipment and used solely for the following shall not be considered a service disconnecting means. 1. Power monitoring equipment, 2. Surge protective device, 3. Control circuit of the ground fault protection system, 4. Power operable service disconnecting means 407 Grouping of disconnects. The multiple disconnects permitted by the NEC and Article 405, up to 6, shall be grouped. Each disconnect shall be marked to indicate the load served. 407 1 Additional service disconnecting means, fire pump. The one or more additional service disconnecting means permitted by the NEC and Section 200 for fire pumps, and with special permission, for emergency systems, legally required standby, or optional standby systems shall be installed remote from the 1 to 6 service disconnecting means for normal service to minimize the possibility of simultaneous interruption of supply. Note: metering equipment for fire pump shall be grouped adjacent to other metering equipment associated with the building service and permanently labeled as fire pump metering equipment. 407 2 Main disconnecting device. Where a main disconnecting device is installed with grouped meters or is required because of more than 6 disconnects, it shall be located immediately adjacent to the meters. Where a main disconnecting means is located ahead of CPS Energy metering equipment, it shall be locked and sealed by CPS Energy. 407 3 Identification. Service disconnecting means shall be permanently marked to identify it as a service disconnect. Where a building or structure is supplied by more than one service, a permanent plaque or directory shall be installed at each service disconnect location denoting all other services, refer to sections 200 and 1800. 408 meter disconnects for self-contained 480Y/277 volt meters. On 480Y/277 volt services having estimated demand or calculated loads of 200 amperes or less, 166 kVA or less, CPS Energy will furnish 200 ampere, self-contained meter sockets, refer to figure 1802. Customer shall furnish and install a 480Y/277 volt rated meter disconnect switch on the line side of, and in the same location as the meter socket. The meter disconnect switch shall be labeled permanently as meter disconnect and not be utilized as a switching device for customer loads or take the place of customer's service disconnecting means required by the NEC and applicable codes on the load side of the meter socket. 408 1 meter disconnect rating. The meter disconnect switch nominally rated not in excess of 600 volts shall be non-fused for installations with available short circuit current ratings of 10,000 amps or less and be listed as suitable for service equipment. 408 2 sealing of meter disconnects. Meter disconnects ahead of 480Y/277 volt self-contained meters shall be sealed by CPS Energy to the extent necessary to protect unmetered conductors. Personnel requiring access to the interior of the meter disconnect switch shall first notify CPS Energy. 408 3 Customer service disconnecting means. Customer shall install a service disconnect in accordance with the NEC and this section of the standards on load side of 480Y/277 volt self-contained meters. Service disconnecting means shall be grouped with meter and meter disconnect switch, refer to definition of meter disconnect switch. 408 4 Provisions for existing services. Where upgrades and/or modifications to existing services are necessary and those existing services are not provided with meter disconnects as required herein, customer shall be required to comply with the provisions applicable as outlined below. 1. On single meter installations where self-contained meter sockets are installed, customer shall be required to bring service up to current standards by installing a meter disconnect ahead of self-contained meter socket. 2. On multiple meter installations where space is available and metering and service equipment can be installed to meet height requirements outlined in the NEC and these standards, customer shall install newly added meter loops to current standards. Existing meter loops may remain as currently found provided they are deemed to be in safe condition by CPS Energy. Note: CPS Energy reserves the right to make final determination on whether or not meter loops will be required to be installed to current standards. 409 Meter disconnects for distributed generation. On all distributed generation (DG) systems, a meter disconnect switch shall be installed ahead of CPS Energy's kilowatt-hour meter to isolate it from the DG power source. The meter disconnect switch shall be located immediately adjacent to the meter, refer to section 2000. 410 Service raceway types permitted. Service lateral and service entrance conductors shall be installed in accordance with the NEC and other applicable codes and shall be limited to installation in the raceway type specified in the applicable respective section of these standards, refer to definition of service raceway. Note: junction boxes and/or conduit bodies are not permitted as part of raceway installations containing service conductors. 411 Raceway seal. Where service raceways enter a building or structure from an underground distribution system and moisture can enter through them to contact live parts, they shall be sealed or plugged at either or both ends. Spare or unused raceways shall also be sealed. Sealants shall be identified for use with the cable insulation, shield, or other components. 412 Downtown network system. Customer service disconnecting means for services supplied from CPS Energy's downtown network system shall be located and installed in accordance with the specific provisions outlined in Section 1100. Customer may contact the CPS Energy customer service representative for the geographical boundaries of the downtown network system and to review service options from the downtown network system, refer to Section 1100.